I'm 88 years old now. I didn't expect to still be here, and most days I wake up surprised that my eyes open at all. What weighs on me isn't pain so much as understanding. It came late, too late to be useful, but early enough to be heavy. I sit by the window most mornings, the same chair, the same view of a street that doesn't know me. People pass with groceries, phones to their ears, children tugging at their hands. I watch them and feel like I'm seeing something I missed while I was standing right inside it. When you get to my age, people think your regrets are about big mistakes. A wrong marriage, a job you shouldn't have taken, something dramatic. But that isn't it. It's quieter than that. It's about all the moments I postponed because I believed time was patient. I was once very busy. That's how I described myself. Busy sounded respectable. Busy meant I mattered somewhere. In my 20s, I married a man who was decent and steady. Not passionate, not cruel, just there. We built a life that looked sensible from the outside. A small house, reliable work, a routine that didn't scare our parents. I thought that was what you were supposed to want. I wanted more, but I didn't know what more meant, so I ignored it. I told myself there would be time to feel things later, time to ask harder questions, time to slow down once things were secure. I kept moving toward some imaginary finish line where life would finally begin. Children came, 2 of them. I loved them, I did. But even that love got folded into my efficiency. Feed them, dress them, get them where they need to be. I was proud of how capable I was. I rarely sat still long enough to notice how fast they were changing. I remember my daughter once asking me to lie down with her in the afternoon, just to talk. I told her I had laundry to finish. I said it kindly. I always said things kindly, but I didn't lie down. I remember my son showing me something he built with his hands, explaining every part of it. I nodded while thinking about dinner. I heard his voice without really listening to the shape of it. I thought being present meant being physically nearby. I didn't understand then that attention is the real currency. You either spend it or you don't. And once you don't, the moment closes without complaint. My husband and I grew polite with each other, courteous. We divided responsibilities like co-workers. We talked about logistics, bills, schedules, repairs. I can't remember the last time we asked each other a real question. At night, I would lie awake and feel a faint ache. Not unhappiness exactly, more like a sense that something was waiting for me and growing. Tired of being ignored, I told myself that was just adulthood. Years passed that way, quietly, efficiently. I was praised often for being reliable, for holding things together, for not making trouble. I wore those compliments like proof that I was doing life correctly. No one warns you that approval can become a substitute for intimacy. By my 40s, the children were busy with their own worlds, friends, dreams. I was proud of them, also strangely empty. I told myself this was the natural order, that a good mother steps back. I filled the space with more responsibility, volunteering, committees, helping others solve problems. I could manage neatly. People trusted me. They leaned on me. I liked that. It gave shape to my days. But at night, when everything was done, I felt a named sadness. I didn't have language for it. I didn't know you could be lonely while surrounded by people who needed you. My husband grew quieter. He read the paper in the evenings, fell asleep in his chair. We stopped touching except by accident. I noticed it, and then I didn't. It was easier not to examine it too closely. I assumed we had time to talk later, time to reconnect after retirement, time to rediscover whatever it was people talked about in movies. I thought love was something that stayed put if you didn't disturb it. I was wrong about that. In my late 60s, my husband got sick. Not suddenly, slowly, the kind of illness that rearranges your life inch by inch. I became a caretaker without noticing the moment I stopped being a partner. I was very good at it. Doctors admired my organization. Nurses trusted my notes. I knew his medications by color and shape. I could anticipate his needs before he spoke, but we never talked about us. One afternoon, he looked at me from the bed and asked if I was tired. I said I was fine. I always said I was fine. He nodded, like that answered something he hadn't said out loud. He died on a Tuesday. The room was quiet, too quiet. I held his hand and waited for something to rise up in me, some speech, some rush of feeling. What came instead was a dull understanding that there were entire conversations we would never have. After the funeral, people brought food. They told me I was strong. They said I had done everything right. I nodded. I accepted their words. But at night, alone in the house, I felt something worse than grief. I felt exposed, without tasks, without someone depending on me. There was nothing between me and my thoughts were full of unopened doors. I replayed moments I had brushed past, invitations I declined, feelings I postponed. I realized how often I had mistaken endurance for virtue. I lived a long life, but I lived it narrowly. Old age has a way of stripping away distraction. Friends die, bodies slow, the days stretch. You start to hear your own thoughts clearly, whether you want to or not. I began to see the pattern. How I waited for permission to feel deeply. How I delayed joy until it seemed responsible. How I believed love would keep without tending. The regret isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It sits with you, patient, persistent. I regret not understanding that relationships are not maintained by good intentions. They're maintained by showing up when it's inconvenient, by listening when you'd rather solve, by choosing presence over productivity. I regret believing that being needed was the same as being known. My children are grown now. We speak. They are kind to me. They call when they can. But there are distances that politeness can't cross. They know me as capable, as reliable. They don't know the parts of me I never showed. That's on me. Sometimes my daughter sits with me and talks about her life. I listen now. I really listen. I catch myself wanting to advise, to manage, to tidy her feelings. I stop. I let the silence breathe. I wish I had done that earlier. I can't go back. Understanding arrived when there was little left to apply it to. That's the cruel humor of it. Wisdom doesn't knock when it's useful. It waits until you're quiet enough to hear it. If you're listening to this, and you're younger than me, I won't tell you what to do. I don't believe in instructions anymore. But I will tell you this. Don't assume time is gentle. It isn't cruel either. It's indifferent. It doesn't pause because you're busy. It doesn't store moments for later. If someone asks you to sit with them, sit. If you feel something stirring, don't immediately dismiss it. If you love someone, don't manage them, know them. You can build a respectable life and still miss it. I did. Now, at 88, I measure my days differently. I notice light. I notice voices. I let conversations wander. I say things I once swallowed. It's peaceful in a way, but it's also lonely. Peace doesn't replace what was never nurtured. I don't hate my life. I'm grateful for it. That's important to say. Gratitude and regret can live in the same room. They often do. But if I could understand one thing earlier, it would be this. Presence is not something you add later. It's the whole thing. When my time comes, I don't think I'll be thinking about what I accomplished. I'll be thinking about the moments I almost touched and didn't. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. That means at least one moment landed where it could still matter. That's enough for me now.